Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I wanted to talk Resident Evil, but I wanted to do it as a tier list because, I realized I've never actually kind of done something like this before, one, and two, I think it's just a great way for me to talk about Resident Evil. It's a good excuse, we're not gonna lie. But yeah, this is what we're going to be doing in this video so basically these are going to be my opinions. I understand a lot of you might disagree with that. So disclaimer right now. There's big disclaimer, huge disclaimer. You're probably going to disagree with my opinion. This one, it looks like this tier list includes the originals, and then it also looks like it includes the remasters. So let's start with the originals. Now, Resident Evil S tier. That's the first. Now that's nostalgia, right? And bias talking. I won't lie to you. Like, I know a lot of people might just simply put that one in A tier, but to me, that's the first video game I ever played. It's the first horror game I ever played. It's just, to me, that is an amazing. Like the story, the gameplay, the inverted tank controls. But no, I love the original Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation 1. That will always hold a very special place in my heart. So that's why it's going in the S tier. All right. Resident Evil 2, I feel like that also goes into the S tier off of the simple fact that it improves a lot from Resident Evil 1. It takes what made Resident Evil 1 great and improves upon it. One of the big things in that is, instead of it being like, oh, you're playing two different characters through the same story, you're playing two different characters who have their own perspective and they're going through their own things now. So it added to the replayability of the game, and I feel like that's why it should also just be an S tier. Now, the issue with that, right, and I know a lot of people are going to have, is with 3, my issue with 3 is the only thing that 3 adds, in my personal opinion, adds kind of a dodge, right? It adds, I believe it's the first one to add ammo crafting. Don't quote me on that. And I believe it adds choices for that way for the replayability. However, honestly, I don't feel like it does enough to differentiate it from Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. Like, it's still a good game. The story's still good. It introduces Nemesis. He has cemented himself as like a really good video game villain. It's for me though, it goes into the A tier. Like, it's a fun play, but like not as fun as like Resident Evil 1 or the original. Up next is, for me, Code Veronica. I'm gonna say that one personally. That one is gonna go into C tier, because Code Veronica to me is very basic. It's very meh, but then, ladies and gentlemen, the game. Right? This game got so many new people into Resident Evil, it is ridiculous. This game has a good story, it has great gameplay, it has memes, you know what I mean? It has it all. If you have not played the original Resident Evil 4 and you just played the remake, go back and also play the original Resident Evil 4. You will not regret it. That covers the kind of originals and kind of older ones, right? I'm not going to touch on Survivor and all these down here yet. I'm not going to touch on those. What I will touch on now is I'm going to touch on Umbrella Chronicles, and I believe this is Dark Side Chronicles. These were Wii games. I'll put these in B off of the simple fact of these are great games to have played during the time that they came out, because it helped a lot of people before the remakes were coming out, who were new to the franchise, to understand what happened in Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. However, the only thing I dislike about them is that they are retelling. So basically, it's not the exact same story that you would have got by playing Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. It's slightly different, and that's my big issue with it. what I really liked about Darkside Chronicles is that it also has a connection to Resident Evil 4, and it tells the story of what happened between Krauser and Leon on their last mission together. So that was nice. Okay, next we're gonna do Resident Evil 5. Now, Resident Evil 5, I feel like if you're playing by yourself and you have to deal with that AI completely alone by yourself, this is a D tier game. However, if you're playing with a friend, which I did, it is a B tier. It is okay. It is above average. It is above average game. The story is not bad. The gameplay is a little, you know, you can see where they try to improve it for and everything like that, but it really doesn't work unless you're playing with a friend, and that's why it's in B tier, because it relies so much on having to have friends, which if you do not have, it does become kind of a painful experience to get through, and I understand that for a lot of people. 6. I feel like a lot of people would put 6 in D. Once again, I would understand that. However, I'm gonna put it in C. Once again, I played this with a buddy. Now, I won't lie, it was still kind of a painful experience. That's why it's in C and not in B, whereas 5 is in B. It was still kind of a painful experience, but it was fun. We were able to have fun. It introduced, in my opinion, only 2 new characters that were interesting, which were Helena and Pierce. They were interesting. I liked Sherry. I like kind of what they did with Sherry, but I did not like what they did with Wesker's son and everything like that. That was boring. My big thing with Resident Evil 6 is they really tried to appeal to all Resident Evil fans by like trying to combine a lot of stuff and kind of go back to the roots. So like you had a Nemi type character, you had zombies come back. You know, they just tried to do too much in one game, and I think that was their issue. And they really tried to upgrade like the action of it, and to a lot of people, Resident Evil isn't just a third-person shooter. It's supposed to be a horror game. So, Resident Evil 7. Now, okay. This is where I'm going to get a lot of... this is where the controversy is about to come in. Because personally, I do not like the first-person Resident Evil game. Of the simple fact that Resident Evil 1 terrified me as a kid, and I can play that game probably now as an adult and probably get scared playing it because of how eerie it is. Not because of jump scares, how eerie it is. There are jump scares in it, yes, but they're jump scares in third person, so you should feel like you should have expected it, but you didn't. First person horror games, I made a video about this recently, as of late, rely too much on putting something out of your point of view, putting something behind you and hitting you and just getting that jolt of just that jump. You know, that's all they want. They don't, to them that's it. You got scared, we can write horror game, you know, and there's nothing really else. And 7 also, in my opinion, has a really bad, like, I don't know, I just didn't like the mold people. The mold people were like crap to me. Like that was awful. Like, you know, I know like they were really trying to get away from the zombies since 4 and everything like that, but like mold people, I gotta put it in C. I know it's considered the game that saved the franchise and everything like that, but like to me it's just average. It's okay. I did like that they kind of went back to the root of it's just a normal guy being put in this situation. I did like that. I do like Ethan, and that's why like Village, I feel like Village took what Resident Evil 7 did, improved on it, and that's why I think it goes into A tier, because I did have a really great time playing Village. I really did. I loved Ethan even more. I love the combat. Like, I feel like they improved upon it slightly from 7, because I think another issue with 7 was they gave you guns, but they really did like, it really wasn't a lot of combat. You were mostly walking around doing puzzles and stuff like that, and most of the combat was during boss battles. Village felt like a Resident Evil game that was in first person. You know, you had boss battles, you had puzzles, you had, you know, the enemies, the werewolf enemies, and they were introducing more types of enemies than just the werewolves. It felt like Resident Evil. So you know, that's why I feel like it just was better. And the story was really good. Yes. Okay, so now we can start with the remakes. Let's go with the remakes first. Okay, we'll start with 0. 0 to me, it's average. I feel like it's okay. I really liked being able to play as Rebecca. I really didn't care for Billy, if I'm gonna be honest, and I don't think Capcom has either, because we haven't heard anything about him since Resident Evil 0. But you know, it's all right. It's a good prequel type game to Resident Evil 1. Now, Resident Evil 1, the remake, I feel like this one goes in A tier. Why doesn't it go in S tier? With the simple fact that it is a remake. It is good. It's a good remake. It really is. It's more for just graphics. Like, I do like that it's basically just the same game with just better graphics. I do enjoy that. I do think that's kind of cool and kind of interesting. However, I really just hate the camera. You know, with this one, it's just like, I know it's like that in the original, but for some reason in the remake, it seems like more obnoxious, of just like the camera just jumping from corner to corner, or like right in front of you. And it's like, you know, and it's just you know, for a remake, for a modern game, it's like, why is it like that? And you can obviously tell for, you know, the next couple remakes, they just got rid of that, because it was like, why would we do that? That's ridiculous. So going on, Resident Evil 2 to me is S tier. No, it's A tier. Let me explain that. Resident Evil 2 is almost a perfect remake. But if you remember, in the original Resident Evil 2, what I just mentioned about it, had different perspectives. So Claire and Leon were going through the same stuff at the same time, so you had a different experience, right? Resident Evil 2, the remake, tries to recreate this by having a Leon A, Leon B, a Claire A, and a Claire B run. However, the issue with this is Leon B is the same route as Claire A. And what that means is, if you play as Claire first and go through the whole game, and then you play as Leon B, you're doing the exact same puzzles. You're just doing them with slightly different results. Then you're doing the exact same, you're getting almost the exact same items with some different items added for you. It's basically playing the same route again with no actual difference to the story or anything like that. So to me, Resident Evil, that gets some points knocked off of it. This next one, I feel like a lot of people are going to agree with this. This one goes in B, because they removed a lot of content from this. They removed a lot. They removed the church and everything like that. And they removed dismemberment, which was a big feature of Resident Evil 2, was like, oh, we made a new dismemberment system, you know, with the upgraded, like, you can shoot a zombie and his arm will fall off eventually, you know, and you can see it dangling there. And that was like revolutionary. You know, that was like cool. And then with Resident Evil 3, they were just like, we'll pull that out. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason. Because when they were making Resident Evil 3, they were making this game, Resident Evil Resistance. So a lot of the updated gameplay of Resident Evil Resistance made it into Resident Evil 3. This is D tier. You're gonna notice a common theme with games like this in this list. They're just gonna, you know, let's just do it right now. Umbrella Corp, awful. RE, awful. Anytime they try to make like a straight up just multiplayer game for Resident Evil, it's bad. It's just awful. Especially this, if that one, if I could just take this one and throw it in a dumpster fire, I just would. But I can't, you know, so it's not an option. So, okay, enough rambling about that. Next is Resident Evil 4. This one, ooh, I feel like a lot of people are gonna agree with this. To me, I know it has a lot of cunt content, and I know that was a big thing with me, but I know a lot of the cunt content was a lot of the silly stuff, because Resident Evil 4 is a little, that's why I'm like, you have to go play Resident Evil 4, because it has a lot of campy stuff, but like, it just works for some reason. It's just nice. They removed the laser room. I know a lot of people were disappointed with and stuff like that, but like, this is a much more, they've been trying to go with much more grounded and gritty and like survival horror type of feeling, you know, that the first kind of games gave you, and it just works real. This is probably the best remake. Like, it is on par with the original. And I would say if you wanted to play Resident Evil 4 today, you should play this version. A lot of the spin-off type stuff. So I don't know what this is, and I've never played Dead Aim. So I've never played this. I believe this is a Game Boy game. This is a 3DS game because it says 3D. And I never played Dead Aim. So I don't want to give any opinions on this. So I'm going to ignore these. We're going to do Operation Raccoon City. And I'm going to say this one is just D tier. Next, I'm going to do the Revelation games. Revelations 1, I feel like that one was pretty good. Now Revelations 2 was pretty average, and I'm gonna put Survivor on C tier because once again it's like a first-person arcade shooter. I never played Survivor 2. I didn't know there was a Survivor 2, so that's interesting. I'm not gonna rate it because I've never played it. And then we have Resident Evil Outbreak. So Resident Evil Outbreak, if you don't know what this is, it's a spinoff that takes place during the Raccoon City incident, and it puts you in the shoes of just random civilians. It puts you in like those scenarios and what they're going through and how they're surviving. And it's actually really good. It puts you in the shoes of a civilian, and in classic Resident Evil fashion, it's just like, okay, now just survive. You're in a survival horror situation. How are you gonna get out? Solve puzzles, do this, do that. Classic, it's pretty good, and it takes you through some iconic locations of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. However, the second one, file number 2, is not good. It's pretty average. It doesn't, once again, like Revelations 2, does not do as good as the first one. It's a little bit, they changed it up a little too much. It's just not as good. And then yeah, that is it. That is my list. Like I said, I'm not gonna rank these because I've never played them. And I only know of Dead Aim. I know it's another one like Survivor, but I've never played it. I don't want to judge it based on what I know, because if I just based it on what I know, it would go on D. But yeah, I've never played these ones. But yeah, this is my tier list, completely my opinion. Sorry if you don't agree. Don't yell at me in the comments, please. But no, I think this is hopefully I would assume this is what most Resident Evil fans think. There's probably would be some differences. I can see a lot of people putting Resident Evil 7 somewhere else and stuff like that, and I would understand that. But yeah, I hope you guys, enjoyed my tier list and my explanation of why I put them there. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure to that like button. It really does help out the channel. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button as well. I do try to post weekly. I know I haven't posted in a while. I'm gonna try and get back on that. I apologize. But yeah, let me know down in the comments as well, if you do agree with the tier list or not, and why not. And that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.